Well, Gavin, that must feel a whole lot better. What about that today, your team's performance and all-important victory?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I focused on was the players wanting to play for the shirt, be willing to get hurt and, not actually go and get hurt, but be willing to get hurt, I think you saw with some of the performances how dogged we were and how we needed to dig in from time to time. I think there was, first half I felt like we were very much on top, but again needed to be braver and get on the ball. And then second half, I think there was a 20-minute spell where, I think we scored the goal within that as well, where we just showed a lot of bravery. And you can see where the frustration comes from, because when they want to get on the ball and they want to play the patterns that we work on in the week, that's what you see, And listen, when we scored a goal, we then had a flirt with a good 10 minutes of enjoyable play. And then understandably, players have had a tough season, so they get a little bit nervous, and we're on the back foot. Not overly concerning, but when you don't put away some of the chances that we created first half and early and in that 20 minutes, then at 1-0 is always a danger.
Big relief, I'm sure you all felt when the ball did hit the back of the net. Sam Stubbs again, he scored your last goal at Chesterfield, and there he was again in the right place at the right time. Super header. Yeah,
I just think when you talk about willing to get hurt, that's what I mean. If you see his performance today, the amount of headers he goes in for, and the bravery, and it's the same with his goal. I just felt like he was rock solid today. And we speak about Stubbs is a leader, so sometimes he wants to do too much. So we had a bit of a laugh about that in the week through gritted teeth. But then you saw today when he simplifies his game and he trusts our process, then you just see how good he can be. And like I say, he's a warrior of a defender. But when he trusts our process, that's what you get. And he's really connected. He's a real good character around the place. And I thought he epitomised that whole willing to get hurt mentality.
And he played his part in a really important clean sheet. One very good save from Matt Cox late on. He was pretty well protected, wasn't he? But one outstanding save.
Yeah, I think that I can't really think of too many chances they had outside of that. I think we had more than enough chances to make it a lot easier than it was. I'm sure my heart's slowing down a little bit now. But I'm not sure how much Cox he knows about. I haven't spoke to him yet, but he took it full on in the face, and he was willing to get hurt. He's willing to spread himself, and that's what goalkeepers do. That's a skill in itself. So really proud of him. Really proud of all of the players. And I think the one for me that just stands out, I just thought John Marquis was absolutely outstanding today. Someone who I've been in the stands, and I think he's been the brunt of a lot of the difficulty in the season. And I wanted him to come in and be a leader today and really lead that front line. You've got two young lads in there who want to go and do a lot with the ball, but need a bit of direction without it. And I thought, not only did he do that, I thought he was reliable. I thought he was efficient. He committed to everything that we needed to do. I thought he was the epitome of the whole performance. I thought he was excellent with the ball. He was a leader. He was there not to be bullied. And that for me is like one of the best performances I've seen from an individual. And I'm really pleased for him, because like you say, understandably he's a captain. He takes a lot of stick when we're not winning games. But he really stepped up today, and I know what he's gone through off the field as well. So that'll be a really rewarding night for him tonight, to sit down with his wife and his kids, to be able to just enjoy what it is to put in a brilliant performance like that. I was praying for him to get a goal, but we just couldn't get that second one over the line.
Well, what about Temple Ojanaka? We spoke about him briefly before when he gave us the team news. His first minutes he's had under you since he came into as head coach, and there he is putting in a performance like that. What about his contribution alongside Nick Freeman, middle of the park? Yeah,
just again, everything that we wanted. Just wanted someone who was willing to go and put in a foot and a tackle and win first, second contacts, and he did that. He was particularly aggressive, which we know he can be. We want him to move the ball quickly in there, which he did for the majority of the time. And again, he smells danger. He can play as a centre half as well. But I thought he was just really good at allowing that front five with our wing backs and our 10 and our strikers to go and play free really. And him and Nick just allowed them just to go on and play in front of them. And excellent performance from him. And again, I'm particularly pleased for him because he's been a victim of our loans. He's had to be really patient and understanding. I've been speaking really closely with him in that time, because as a youngster he's moved past 23's football by the looks of it, and he's come in here, and I thought his performance away at Cambridge before I came in was certainly more than competent, but what we wanted him to do in there, it was an element of a risk, of course, but I was true to my word in that I want players that are going to train well in the week, be willing to show me that they want to go and play for the shirt, because myself and Dave and Jay we're supporters of the football club as well as work for the football club, and minimum requirement is that you go out there and play for the badge. So he wanted to do that clearly in the week, and he got his chance.
It's a big win. If I've got my calculations correct, I make that 7 wins you've had now in your 14 games in charge of Shrewsbury Town. That's not a bad return, Gavin, given you walked into a club that were a couple of points clear of the relegation zone at that stage.
Yeah, I think it speaks volumes of the players and the staff. I think the magnitude of the job when we came in was bigger than probably what I thought when I walked through the door. And it's why I don't get emotional, because again, when you zoom out a little bit, you go, we've won half the game since we've been in here. Now, we want to have a strong finish to the season because then nothing's done yet. But it's a big step towards that. But again, it's why when we were winning most weeks or every week, I think it was 6 out of 7 at one point, I wasn't getting too high. And then on this sort of run here, I wasn't getting too low. But it does mean that we need to, for next season, God willing, we get over the line, we can really focus on a team with a really steely mentality. So, my message to the players for the last 5 games now is to, first of all, secure our place in this league. And second of all, just to make sure that they bring a steely mentality and show me that they can go out and play like they did today in terms of their minimum requirements. As for the staff, I think on a day of ultimate sacrifice in Good Friday, you think about the sacrifices that have been made by the staff. Jamie and Dave coming in. And the staff really buying into what it is that we do. We rarely come away from the training ground till late at night. Some understandably may think that that's a minimum requirement, but we stepped into something, and I think we were brave enough to be shot at and stick our necks out. It could have gone horribly wrong, and we still got some work to do. Don't get me wrong, but half the games to be won in our time here, especially with the way the momentum was, I think is, I'll make you right, I think it's a credit to the staff and the players. I'm really proud of everyone.
Yeah, you are 11 points clear now of the relegation zone. Is a message though still work very much still to be done? You're not there yet, it's not mathematically certain.
You know me a long time, Stu. It's, I think we can never get complacent, and even if it was, let's have a strong end to the season. We've got our fans that travel all over the place for us and come out in big numbers. I mean, it's another 7,000 plus crowd today. I think that's the 3rd in a row. I'm so pleased to get it over the line for them because the support has just been incredible. It's, I know you get the odd one who gets a little bit emotional with results, and understandably people love the football club, but I think from the moment we walked in the door, the majority of people have, just been so supportive, and they're the ones that wins for. Thank you for that. Thank you for your support. Thank you for really believing in us when we came in. Understandably, people who would have said about the experience at the level, and we've got a lot of belief in what we do, but we've also got the humility to know that we're going to have to work all the hours under the sun to make sure we get this right. And like I say, God willing, we just keep working hard to try and gather a momentum now to go into next season for a big season. And we'd like to think it's a big step today for that to be in this league next year.
You've got to enjoy this victory first, quite rightly too, but it is the leaders next at Bromley. It's a big challenge to look forward to. Is that the word as well, to look forward to on Tuesday night?
Yeah, there's no expectation on us, and all the expectation will be on them. So it's for us to go into the Lions' Den and see what we're made about. This is where we're talking about mentality. I like to see myself as a winner, but ultimately in these underdog moments, I thrive as well because what have we got to lose? The expectation is that they'll win, so we'll go there with a real freedom of working hard, showing desire, but also being brave enough to get on the ball and play like we did for elements of the game today.